The Dershow.
Let's talk a little bit about what an insurrection is, and let's talk about what's going on today throughout the United States. Look at New York, at what recently has occurred. In New York, anti-Israel groups, they call themselves pro-Palestinians. They're not pro-Palestinians. They have nothing to do with wanting things to get better for the Palestinians. They don't favor a two-state solution. They are just completely anti-Israel and anti-American. And the key is that they're anti-American. They are blocking highways. They're denying people access to tunnels during traffic. They're making life miserable for people. Let's first understand who the people are who were involved. These are not people who care about Palestine. These are not people who care about the people of Palestine. There are some who do. There are some Palestinians who participate in these demonstrations, but the demonstrations are conducted largely by hard left socialist activists whose goal is to overthrow the government of the United States. Their goal, and they say it, is to overthrow free market capitalism, to overthrow the way we elect our presidents, and to substitute a Stalin-type autocracy. That's the goal. In the old days, we would call these people communists. We don't use that term anymore. But the Democratic Socialists of America and the other groups that are organizing these well-organized and well-paid demonstrations have as their goal ultimately the overthrow of the United States and the substitution of our way of life and our democratic government for a different kind of government, the overthrow of the Judeo-Christian tradition and all of those kinds of things. One of the groups is called Jewish Voice for Peace, as I've said before. It's a beard, it's a cover. The Jewish Voice for Peace is not Jewish. Many of its members are not Jewish. They're radical communist socialists, people who want to overthrow the government. And because there are a couple of Jews, and look, Karl Marx was Jewish, and Trotsky was Jewish. You can find Jews everywhere, even among revolutionaries. Because some of the people are Jewish, they adopted the name Jewish Voice for Peace. They're not Jewish. Fortunately, they don't have a voice. They engage in violence, and they're not in favor of peace. They're in favor of destroying Israel. They don't believe in Israel's right to exist at all, certainly not as the nation state of the Jewish people, and they support Hamas, favor Hamas. And many of them justified the Hamas rapes and murders and beheadings. And many of them deny there were any rapes or beheadings. Here, I'll just take an advance on the letters and just read you a letter that came in today. Dershowitz, you're a lying hypocrite. Rapes and beheadings has been totally debunked and actively abandoned by the Israeli government. And you know it, you shit stain. No, I do know it. The Israeli government has produced videotapes of some of the forensics. They clearly have proved that there were rapes and sexual assaults and body mutilations, including beheadings. So no, I'm not making it up. I'm not a lying hypocrite. I'm telling you the truth. But the Jewish Voice for Peace, probably this person is from it, Jewish Voice for Peace takes that position. They're Holocaust deniers, basically. There were people who denied that 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust, and now you have people denying that the most outrageous attack on individual Jews since the Holocaust didn't occur. No, we're denying it. It didn't occur. The people from Hamas came over with picnic baskets. They actually wanted to join the peace concert and were singing Kumbaya and Shalom, Shalom. Didn't you see it? Don't you know that? That's what actually happened. That's what Jewish Voice for Peace and this hypocrite named Guido One said. But of course, there's no truth to that. We know for sure that there were multiple rapes, multiple abuses. The bodies were torn apart, beheadings, limbs. I don't even want to get into it. It was so horrible. Both the New York Times, which is certainly not favorable to Israel, and the Wall Street Journal documented the rapes in great detail, and Israel is certainly never, as this letter says, abandoned by the Israeli government. It's just a lie. But liars can write to me, and I'll answer them, and I'll answer the letters when the time comes. But these demonstrations are not about Palestine. Let's be very clear about that. They are anti-Israel, anti-American, anti-Western democracy, anti-free market economy, anti the Judeo-Christian tradition, and could fit comfortably into the legal definition of insurrection, which I will read for you in 1 second. It's anyone who so hinders the execution of the laws of that state and of the United States within that state, that any part or class of its people is deprived of a right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution and secured by law, and the constituted authorities of that state are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right, privilege, or immunity, or give that protection, or opposes or obstructs the execution of the laws of the United States, or impedes the course of justice under these laws. Under that definition, and that's one definition under Section 333, there are other definitions of insurrection and rebellion and all of that. But what's going on in the streets today are as much of an insurrection as the claimed insurrection of January 6th.